I am the true heiress of the James family who was abducted and sold. When my biological parents came looking for me, I was setting up a stall selling phone cases for $10 for 3. As I looked up and met their disdainful gazes, a sudden barrage of subtitles floated before my eyes. The villainess has arrived, and my poor fake heiress protagonist now has one more person to bully her. Woo-woo, the female lead is so pitiful. Later, she's either imprisoned by her Yandere adoptive brother or physically and mentally abused by the male lead. In the end, she collapses completely and can only choose to jump off a building to end her life. There's no helping it. This was always meant to be a tragic bad ending story. Once the female lead dies, the male lead and the second male lead will be left with nothing but heartache and regret. Exactly. Everyone just needs to endure a bit. It gets better later. The male lead and second male lead will spend their entire lives drowning in guilt over the female lead. I stared at the barrage comments in confusion. Guilt, regret, what use are these things? Turning to look at the teary-eyed fake heiress, the man's hand was about to rest on her shoulder. I suddenly stood up and slapped his hand away. Don't touch her. My action left everyone stunned, with Mrs. James being the first to react. Anna, what are you doing? Alan is your own brother, according to the DNA report they just provided. There's no doubt I am indeed their daughter. I didn't respond, my eyes fixed directly on Alan as I instinctively shielded Alice behind me. Meeting my gaze, Alan adjusted his cuffs as if to cover his unease, flashing me a perfect 8-tooth smile before beginning his self-introduction. Hello Anna, I'm your biological brother. My name is Alan. I ignored the hand he extended. Shouldn't a brother bring a gift when meeting his sister for the first time? Alan glanced awkwardly at our parents and cleared his throat softly. I came in a hurry and didn't prepare anything. I'll make it up to you in a few days. No problem. I think the watch on your wrist looks quite nice. I've been noticing Alan's watch since earlier. It looks like some kind of Rolex. Seems really expensive. Alan glanced down at it. This is the men's model. I don't mind. Before Alan could finish his sentence, I cut him off directly. Bullet comment. The supporting female character is so greedy, asking for such an expensive watch even before entering the family. Exactly, she has such a narrow mindset. A poor person suddenly becoming rich, acting like she's never seen the world before. Later when she returns home, she even steals the female lead's belongings. It's really too much. Can't the author just write her off earlier? In the end, Alan still gave the watch to me. I tossed it directly into my brother Wilson's arms. Wilson had been guarding the stall and watching us the whole time, and now the corners of his eyes were slightly red. Boss, if you leave with them, what about me? I disdainfully handed him a tissue to wipe his tears. Do what needs to be done. Let's sell this batch of goods first. That watch should be quite valuable. Find a decent second-hand shop to sell it, and make sure you don't get scammed. It should be enough for your mom's surgery. Hearing this, Wilson cried even louder. I was startled and gave him a hard slap on the back of his head, then glanced around awkwardly. All right, can you tone it down a bit? People might think I did something to you. Hearing this, Wilson's sobs gradually quieted. I pointed at the black Bentley owned by the James family. Your sister is going to live the good life, not die. Once I've made it big, I'll come find you. Wilson held the watch I gave him in both hands, looking like an abandoned puppy as he nodded pitifully at me. I couldn't help but wipe his tears again before standing up and walking toward the James family. Mrs. James glanced at Wilson with disdain and couldn't resist saying, Anna, are you close with that little troublemaker from earlier? You're going to be a daughter of the James family now. You should still be mindful of boundaries. These troublemakers are clearly unruly. Don't let him ruin you, Mr. James also nodded in agreement, telling me not to associate with those troublemakers anymore. I smiled faintly. We're not that close. It's just that when my adoptive parents beat me until I was bleeding from the head, it was Wilson and his mother who took me to the hospital. Otherwise, I might have died long ago. That one sentence instantly plunged the room into silence. Mr. and Mrs. James were about to say something more, but now could only exchange an awkward glance. They motioned for us to get in the car together. I noticed that Alice didn't seem very keen on sitting next to Alan, so I took the initiative to sit in the middle of the back seat. Alan glanced at me but said nothing. The barrage of comments exploded instantly. Here we go. The supporting female character starts competing for favor with the female lead. I'm almost too scared to watch now. Just thinking about how the female lead gets bullied even worse later, and her adoptive parents treat her poorly too, my heart aches for her. This is exactly why the female lead was brainwashed by the second male lead into believing she was unworthy of love. all because of the female supporting character. The female lead was only adopted by the James family from the orphanage after the female supporting character was trafficked. The tragedy of the female supporting character has nothing to do with her, so why blame the female lead? I feel like the female supporting character was actually helping the female lead just now. It was obvious the female lead didn't want to sit too close to the second male lead. I agree. Also, the female supporting character took the watch to pay for the medical treatment of her best friend's mother. Are the people upstairs blind or something? Anyway, the fact remains that she later harmed the female lead. Just wait and see how you'll try to justify the female antagonist's actions. In the car, Mr. and Mrs. James asked about my adoptive parents. I raised an eyebrow and told them I had them arrested 5 years ago on charges of child trafficking and abuse. They're probably still in prison now. I've known since a very young age that I wasn't their biological child. After all, no one would be this cruel to their own flesh and blood. The atmosphere became awkward again as everyone tacitly fell silent. I didn't try to ingratiate myself with Alan as the barrage comments suggested. Instead, I closed my eyes to rest and sort out the chaotic thoughts that had been swirling in my mind since earlier. From the barrage of comments, I learned that I seemed to be the cannon fodder supporting female character in this tragic bad ending story. The female lead is Alice, and Alan is the obsessive second male lead. The male lead is Frank, the heir of the Williams family, who is engaged to the James family. Later, Alice will be physically and emotionally tormented by these two in the name of love. Unable to endure it any longer, she ultimately jumps to her death. Only then do the male lead and second male lead feel deep regret. They turn their anger toward me, the one who once tripped her up and bullied her. In the plot, they tortured me in many ways, and after each torture, I had to apologize to Alice's memorial photo. In the end, I was even thrown into the sea to feed the fish. This plot is absolutely insane. Wasn't it the male lead and the second male lead who truly drove the female lead to her death? They blamed all the mistakes on me, trying to ease their guilt in this way. I silently decided to stay away from these two lunatics in the future. Finally, I became the daughter of a wealthy family. I must find a way to get more money. As for Alice, I have no interest in meddling in others' affairs, as long as no one bullies her. Whatever happens afterward shouldn't be blamed on me. Right, back at the James family, Mr. and Mrs. James went off to attend to their work. They left me in Alice's care. Alice led me to the room. The room was cluttered with miscellaneous items, and all the furniture inside was old. It was clear how little importance James's parents placed on me, their own biological daughter. The bullet comments mentioned that they had always favored sons over daughters, believing that daughters were merely tools for exchanging family interests. Alice stood at the door, pursing her lips, her voice tinged with helplessness. Sis, don't be angry, this time was too rushed, so Mom and Dad didn't have time to tidy up your room, but I wiped everything down this morning. Mom and Dad even gave me money to help you fix things up properly. Tell me what you like, and I'll go buy it in the next few days. Alice finished saying all this in one breath, finally relieved. Then rubbed the back of her head. Seems worried I might slap the back of her head like I did with Wilson. I smiled and touched the table and chairs. They were indeed quite clean, shrugged indifferently. Just buy whatever you see fit. I'm not picky, though I do like gold, the color of real gold. Seeing my smile, Alice's eyes instantly lit up. She picked up the notebook and started writing. I thought she was jotting down things to buy later, but with a glance out of the corner of my eye, I noticed she had written a small line below, "Sister likes gold. I need to work hard and save up to buy gold for her." I looked at her with confusion. Wasn't this person a people pleaser? I had spent less than 5 hours with her in total and hadn't treated her particularly well, yet she was actually planning to buy me gold. After finishing writing, Alice hurriedly left, as if there was something very important waiting for her to do next. In the evening, the James family still prepared a lavish dinner. I answered Mr. and Mrs. James' questions while wolfing down my food. After learning I had dropped out in my senior year of high school, they decided to send me to a prestigious private school. I casually asked, "Is Alice at that school too?" That one sentence brought silence back to the dinner table. I don't understand how I always manage to silence them. Could you stop overthinking everything? In the end, it was Alan who spoke up. If Anna doesn't like it, why not transfer Alice to 6th high school? That way they'll see less of each other and conflicts will be less likely to arise. Mr. and Mrs. James nodded in agreement. The barrage comments couldn't hold back. The supporting female character is causing trouble again. No, 6 High is the worst school in the city. The female lead will definitely get bullied to death if she goes there. Exactly. The second male lead is taking advantage of the situation to make the female lead more isolated and helpless, so she'll have no choice but to rely on him as her only salvation. I'm genuinely disgusted. The James family's parents gave 1 slap, the second male lead got 2 slaps, and the female antagonist directly unleashed the 18 dragon subduing palms. Wait, did I say something? Just an offhand question. How did it escalate to this? Watching Mr. and Mrs. James decide with just a few words to send Alice to No. 6 High School. I spoke directly. Has the family gone bankrupt? Can't afford to send both daughters to private high school anymore. Mr. and Mrs. James were taken aback and immediately denied it. How could that be? Then it's settled. Alice and I will attend the same school. There's no need to transfer her away. After saying that, I went back to eating. I looked up and met Alice's grateful gaze. I immediately averted my eyes. I just wish she wouldn't look at me like that. I hate that kind of expression the most. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Alan, still wearing his perfect smile, though his hand gripping the chopsticks unconsciously tightened. The James family works very efficiently, and within a few days, I was able to go to school with Alice. Since we weren't in the same class, Alice kept chattering nonstop from the moment we got on the bus. She told me about the school's location and things to be aware of. She mentioned she was in the class next door and that I could always come to her if anything happened. I've heard it so much my ears are growing calluses, so I had to send her away, because I'd missed a lot of lessons. I couldn't understand much of the previous classes. Unable to resist the drowsiness, I ended up falling asleep with my head on the desk. When I woke up, the class was already over. Suddenly, a barrage of comments appeared. The female lead got dragged into the restroom and bullied by several female classmates, because the boys they liked all wrote love letters to the female lead. They've long held a grudge against her. They didn't act before only because she was the heiress of the James family. Exactly. Now that they know she's adopted, they didn't even bother pretending anymore. They pulled her into the restroom right after class. Looking back now, the supporting female character isn't so bad. At least she hasn't laid a hand on the female lead yet. I watch the barrage of comments scrolling by, my hands clench involuntarily as I slump back onto the desk. Closing my eyes, I keep reminding myself in my heart not to meddle in others' affairs. I'm just a cannon fodder supporting character. If she can't stand on her own, no one can help her. I can help her this time. But what about next time? I can't possibly help her forever. Gradually, the words the girl had written in her notebook resurfaced in my mind, her sparkling gaze, the incessant chatter in my ears, and the bullet comments predicting her tragic future. In the restroom, Alice was cornered by several people. The leading girls slapped her. Aren't you good at playing the innocent White Lotus? All the boys like you damn green tea bitch. I'll make you stop pretending. As she spoke, the girl kicked her in the stomach. Alice groaned and fell to the ground. At that moment, the bathroom door suddenly swung open. I stood frozen in the doorway. A girl with a high ponytail turned to look at me and smiled. You must be the real daughter of the James family, right? We're teaching this reckless girl a lesson. Want to lend a hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I counted silently in my mind. 8 people. A bit too many. Then, I slowly walked toward the last utility room. I picked up the mop, dipped it into the dirty water from the toilet, and swung it directly at them. Dirty water splashed on their faces, and everyone screamed and stepped back. I seized the hair of the girl who had just asked me to lend a hand, and kicked the back of her knee, forcing her to kneel before Alice. Apologize. My voice was icy. The other girls snapped out of it and wanted to step forward to help, but they froze in place, too scared to move under my icy glare. What a joke. I'd previously dealt with thugs who collected protection money from street vendors. Scaring a few high schoolers was well within my abilities. The girl kneeling on the ground refused to back down. Why should I apologize to her? She's just a slap. Before she could finish speaking, I directly gave her a slap. I raised the mop in front of her. If you don't apologize, I'll shove this mop into your mouth. Our eyes locked, my expression serious, with no hint of joking. The girl finally backed down. He lowered his head and said to Alice, I'm sorry. I let go of her, and the few people standing at the door quickly stepped forward to help her away. I sat down next to Alice, watching as she searched for something on herself. What are you looking for? Disinfectant wipes, Alice replied to me. I was completely speechless. I must have accidentally hit her with the mop when I was swinging it earlier. Miss, It's not the time to be so particular, is it? As soon as I finished speaking, Alice grabbed my hand. Her delicate fingers covered my rough hand as she meticulously wiped it clean with disinfectant wipes. Your hands got dirty just now, sister. They need to be cleaned properly. I stared blankly at Alice, unable to utter a word. Bullet comments. Sniff. Alice is so sweet. Even though she's dirtier herself, she still wiped the supporting female character's hands first. Actually, I think the supporting female character is quite nice too. She says she doesn't care, but her actions speak otherwise. She came running over eagerly to back up the female lead. Yeah, I'm kinda shipping them now. Come on, that's just because the male lead hasn't appeared yet. Once he shows up, the female antagonist will only focus on opposing the female lead. Exactly. Stop whitewashing the antagonist, fans. A villain is a villain. They can never be redeemed in this lifetime. Reading these comments, I couldn't help but wonder. What does the male lead look like? Could he really make me act so irrationally? I helped Alice out of the restroom. Just as we turned the corner, we nearly collided with a tall figure. The man was slender with striking brow bones, appearing as if he had rushed here in a hurry. Before I could clearly see his face, the barrage of comments flooded the screen, all calling him the male lead. The male lead. So this is Alice's fiancé, Frank. Seeing Alice, Frank's anxious expression seemed to relax a little. His tone turned cold. I heard you got beaten up. Alice nodded gently. Frank snorted coldly. I told you long ago not to dress so flamboyantly for school, but you wouldn't listen. I didn't, Alice murmured in protest. What do you mean you didn't? Otherwise, why would they target you and not someone else? Listening to this made my fists clench. Yet Alice only teared up, unable to utter a single word of rebuttal. She had been oppressed for far too long, growing up in such an environment. No wonder she still blames herself first when facing problems as an adult. Bullet comments. Female lead. Don't be scared by the male lead. He's just cold on the surface. Actually, he's secretly liked you all along. The moment he heard you were being bullied, he rushed over immediately. The male lead said that because he likes the female lead too, he's afraid others will notice her beauty and take her away. Who can resist the male lead's tsundere attitude? So adorable. If I were the female lead, I'd definitely listen to everything he says. I was shocked by the values in the bullet comments. Are these really bullet comments typed by humans, without even the most basic respect? How can there be talk of love? Frank was about to say something. I punched him right in the face. Frank stared at me in shock. You dare hit me? Damn right I hit you. Who do you think you are? Spewing that garbage the moment you showed up. You think everyone has to listen to you? Let me make this clear. If you ever dare boss Alice around again, I'll beat you up every single time I see you. With that, I took Alice and left. Why is the plot different? Isn't the supporting female character supposed to try every means to seduce the male lead? The supporting female character must be playing hard to get, using this method to attract the male lead's attention. I brought Alice to the infirmary, but the staff wasn't there, so I applied the medicine to her myself, anyway. When I got beaten before, I always treated my own wounds. While applying the medicine, Alice kept stealing glances at me with her big eyes, looking like she had something to say but hesitated. If you have something to say, just say it. I spoke up directly. Alice seemed to finally gather her courage, took a deep breath, and spoke. Sister, am I really the white lotus and green tea they say I am? Yes, I nodded without hesitation. Hearing this, Alice's expression visibly dimmed. The lotus symbolizes purity and beauty, rising untainted from the mud. Green tea represents youthful vitality. Doesn't that remind you of yourself? After saying this, I looked down at Alice and noticed the girl's eyes shining brightly at me. Really, am I that wonderful? I awkwardly averted my gaze. Nodding, I began to educate her. If you encounter bullying in the future, you must stand up and fight back bravely. Even if you can't win, you should still fight back. Let them know that even if you lose 1,000, you'll make sure they lose 500. Only then will they realize you're not to be trifled with and won't dare to bully you easily. In the end, you must stand firm on your own. Alice listened carefully, word by word, and nodded earnestly. Sister, I understand now. You're so kind. Kind? Am I kind? Actually, I'm not kind at all. I only said those things because I didn't want her to bother me again in the future. Bullet comments. The supporting female character spoke so well. I've long been fed up with those terms online that stigmatize women. Who understands this moment of redemption? The world truly can't do without girls. Am I the only one who thinks the supporting female character hitting the male lead just now was a bit impolite? Yeah, only you think so. In the days that followed, would occasionally teach Alice some self-defense techniques. After all, I know a thing or two about martial arts, although it's unorthodox. Sometimes the unconventional methods are the most effective. When at a disadvantage, you must accurately identify your opponent's weak points, aim for vulnerable areas like the eyes or throat to ensure a single decisive strike. If facing a male opponent, target the lower body. For female opponents, hair pulling is also an option. During the demonstration, I occasionally accidentally pulled Alice's hair. The little girl wasn't afraid of the pain at all and just kept grinning foolishly at me. She looked a bit like the little yellow dog I'd met in the village before. I wanted to scold her to stop grinning like I did with Wilson. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to scold her. I thought Alice would always remain this obedient and well-behaved. Little did I know. The first time she ever talked back to me was when I ranked last in the class during the monthly exam. That day, Alice angrily placed a pile of study materials in front of me and announced she would start tutoring me from then on. I slumped onto the desk. No need, right? My grades being bad isn't a new thing, and I'm still doing fine, aren't I? Alice shoved the English workbook right into my hands. It's different, sis. Didn't you tell me before that people need to stand on their own feet? Making money in today's society isn't about brute strength anymore. It's about brains. Don't you want to miss out on getting rich in the future because you're not capable enough? Getting rich? Alice's words made me sit up straight immediately. That's right. Once you're rich, you can buy lots of gold. I'll learn right away. No one can stop me from learning. I have to say, Alice has some experience with pyramid schemes up her sleeve. With just a few words, she had me willingly diving into studying. In the end, amidst her packed study schedule, I embarked on my own grueling journey of remedial learning. Frank would occasionally pop up in front of Alice to remind her of his presence, but now Alice either ignores him or snaps back at him. She directly made Frank turn green with anger. Even I couldn't help but marvel at how sharp Alice's tongue can be sometimes. After dinner, under Alice's watchful eye, I immediately rushed off to study without a moment's delay. Suddenly remembered I forgot my water bottle and was about to go back when, around the corner, I saw Alan stop Alice. Alice, why haven't you come to find your brother lately? If you're feeling wronged, you can always tell me. Don't hide away and cry by yourself. I'll always be on your side. Alice took a step back. I'm not wronged. My sister said girls aren't crybabies and shouldn't cry over nothing. Alan's expression froze as he took a step forward. But I'm your brother, the only one who won't abandon you, Alice immediately retorted, pointing at the news channel in the living room. You're wrong, brother, the party and the country won't abandon me either. I couldn't help but let out a chuckle. Alan stood frozen in place, at a loss for words, while Alice had already turned and headed to the garden to exercise. Meanwhile, the barrage of comments kept praising Alan. Look at the male lead's possessive gaze. I'm shipping them already. An ultra-possessive Yandra second male lead paired with an utterly oblivious female lead. Absolute perfection. Guess my fate is to stand the weirdest ships. The female lead has no idea the second male lead calls out her name every night. He's totally head over heels for her. I couldn't help but feel nauseous after seeing it. Isn't this clearly sexual harassment? This kind of Yandra character is fine to read about in novels. In real life, anyone who encounters it would be terrified. Those people in the bullet comments would definitely run faster than anyone else. Just as I was intently watching the bullet comments, Alan's expression gradually darkened. Clenching both fists, he watched Alice's retreating figure and slowly spoke. Alice, I won't let you leave me. You can only be mine. During Alice's intensive tutoring sessions, my mock exam results finally reached the middle of the grade ranking. To reward me, Alice gave me half a day off. I decided to visit Wilson's mother in the hospital. Mrs. Chen's surgery was very successful, and she has now been transferred to a regular ward. My aunt fussed over me, and her energy seemed much better than before. I went home reassured, planning to tackle another set of math problems tonight. Having tasted the rewards of studying, I'm now full of motivation. But when I opened the door, I found the living room completely dark. There was no one in the house. Not even the nanny. A bad premonition arose in my heart. The bullet comments at this moment. The female lead was drugged and taken away by the second male lead. Hurry and save her. Supporting female character. The male lead's expression just now was terrifying. Is he going to do something to hurt the female lead? I was wrong. I'll never like any Yandra male leads again. The male lead kidnapped the female lead and took her to a mountaintop villa he secretly bought. He's completely insane. My heart skipped a beat reading the barrage comments. Wasn't this plot supposed to happen only after Alice graduated from university? Was it because of Alice's change that made Alan act earlier, without caring about anything else? I immediately called the police based on the address mentioned in the bullet comments. Then, I took Wilson with me, called the driver, and immediately headed towards the mountaintop. On the way, I learned from the bullet comments that Alan had tied Alice to the bed with chains, surrounded by iron bars. Alan looked at Alice as if she were a disobedient pet. The more Alice struggled, the deeper his smile grew. He told Alice this would be her home from now on. He would fulfill whatever Alice wanted, but if Alice tried to escape, he would sever her tendons, leaving her forever confined to that bed. Fortunately, Alan's villa had keypad locks, and bullet comment knew the codes. We encountered no obstacles along the way. When they reached the bedroom door, Wilson forcefully kicked it open. What met his eyes was Alan holding a knife, lightly tracing it over Alice's skin, just about to lift the hem of her clothes. "Damn it, you beast!" Wilson immediately tackled Alan to the ground, wrestling fiercely with him. Having grown up fighting others, Wilson quickly gained the upper hand, pinning Alan to the ground and beating him mercilessly. I immediately took off my coat and draped it over Alice, holding her tightly in my arms. I could feel the girl in my arms trembling, yet she bravely bit her lip to hold back her tears. I pressed her head against my shoulder. "Silly, cry if you want to." Alice seemed to finally let her guard down, reaching out to hug me tightly and bursting into loud sobs. I looked around the scene. The room was filled with photos of Alan and Alice, some of which were intimate pictures Alan had photoshopped of them together. No wonder Alice would later have a mental breakdown in this room and take her own life. By the time the police arrived, Alan had already been beaten bloody by Wilson. We were all taken to the police station together. However, when giving his statement, Alan denied kidnapping Alice, claiming instead that he was just taking his little sister to visit his new home. He kept trying to manipulate Alice with his words, attempting to break her psychological defenses. "Right, little sister, hurry up and explain it for your big brother. If the police misunderstand this matter, big brother won't be able to help you anymore. If your schoolmates find out, they'll only look down on you even more and bully you. This probably isn't what you want to see, is it?" Alan once again flashed his signature smile, but it no longer carried the warmth of before. Now it exuded nothing but eerie menace. Alice ignored my attempts to stop her and slowly walked toward him. A flash of joy crossed Alan's face as he eagerly stepped forward to meet her. The next second, Alice lifted her foot and delivered a powerful kick to Alan's lower region. With a squelch, it sounded like something had shattered. Then came Alan's piercing scream. We were all stunned, hearing Alice's resolute voice in our ears. "Officer, I have a recording that proves Alan was indeed planning to kidnap me." It took the police a while to snap out of it, but they immediately took Alice's phone to retrieve the recording, which was filled with Alan's vile words. Alice turned her head and smiled at me. "Sis, did I kick accurately this time?" I silently raised my thumb. "Not only accurate, but also ruthless." The police officers' faces turned pale watching it. Bullet comments: "The female lead kicked so well. The second male lead is truly disgusting. How dare he threaten her? She should have kicked him a few more times." Sniff: "Thank goodness the supporting female character arrived in time. I can't even imagine what would have happened to the female lead otherwise. I hereby declare that from now on, I will forever stand by the female lead and the supporting female character. If anyone dares to speak ill of them again, I'll fight them to the end." This incident once again proves how important it is for a man to have emotional stability. Alan was diagnosed with mental illness and cannot be sentenced. He can only be confined in a mental hospital for the rest of his life. Upon learning that Alan had been committed to a mental hospital, Mr. James was so overwhelmed with anger that he immediately suffered a stroke and was hospitalized. Mrs. James cried until she was nearly blind. As I stepped into Mr. James's hospital room, suddenly a water cup smashed at my feet. "You wretched thing, get your brother out of the mental hospital quickly, or else I won't let you off." Mr. James was speaking hesitantly. I looked down at the mess on the floor and let out a cold laugh. "Sure, if he gets out of the mental hospital, he might end up in court. It's either the hospital ward or a prison cell. You choose." Mr. James was so angry that his hands trembled as he pointed at me and shouted, "You're nothing but a jinx. I never should have brought you back in the first place." Before Mr. James could finish his sentence, I had already slapped him across the face. "How dare you hit me? I am your father." "Father?" I looked coldly at Mr. James and sneered. the DNA report you provided was based on the sample from when I sold blood at the age of 10, wasn't it? You've known all along that I was your daughter, yet you only came looking for me now. Wasn't it because you were aware of Alan's disgusting intentions? Afraid that one day he might truly lose control and harm Alice, so you brought me back in advance to secure the marriage alliance with the Gu family, just in case, right? Upon hearing my words, Mr. and Mrs. James turned pale instantly. Mrs. James asked me in a trembling voice, how do you know these things? Naturally, I wouldn't tell them. It was the barrage subtitles that informed me. You don't need to worry about how I know. Just understand that I'm the only one you can rely on now. The doctor said the old man will be bedridden for life. I'll take full control of the company from now on, and before I graduate, it will be managed by professional executives. After being discharged, I'll find you an average nursing home. If you want to live comfortably for the rest of your lives, behave yourselves and don't entertain any more schemes. With that, I walked away without looking back. Behind me were the sounds of Mr. James's incessant curses and Mrs. James's sobs. I feel no ripple of emotion or guilt in my heart. These two are utterly unworthy of being parents. Even Alan became the way he is now only under their increasingly perverse and harsh demands day after day. In the days that followed, Alice and I devoted ourselves wholeheartedly to preparing for the college entrance exams. With clear goals in mind, we worked even harder. Finally, after the last exam was over, Alice raised her hands to the sky and shouted, "Freedom at last!" At that moment, Frank emerged from nowhere. He looked at Alice and expressed his desire to talk to her alone. "It means you want me to leave." I glanced at Alice, and she agreed. I pretended to leave on the surface, but in reality, I was worried that Frank might do something extreme, just like Alan did, so I secretly hid in the bushes, wanting to see what Frank was planning to do. Frank simply apologized and confessed to Alice in a very formal manner. "Alice, I really like you. All those excessive things I did and said to you before were just to get your attention. Can you forgive me?" Alice looked at Frank's face, a faint smile curling at the corners of her lips. "Frank, you know what? I once had a dream where I actually married you." One sentence instantly brought a look of surprise to Frank's face. He thought Alice was about to say yes. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl upward, but in the end, it was through your and Alan's constant belittling and denial that I developed depression, began doubting myself, and ultimately walked toward death. Hearing this, Frank's expression changed, and he hurriedly explained, "No, I wouldn't let that happen to you." "Really, you wouldn't?" Alice stared straight at Frank, as if trying to see through to the truest nature of his heart. Frank's confidence waned more and more, until he could only lower his head, no longer able to refute her firmly. Alice spoke up, "I have a feeling, if I were still the old Alice, that would be my fate." Frank's eyes gradually reddened at the corners, his voice turning bitter. "But I'm already changing. I'll love you properly from now on, never making you sad again. Why can't you give me a chance? Because compared to being loved, I care more about my own feelings now." Alice remained unmoved by Frank's tears, her tone still calm. "Frank, because of my parents' oppressive upbringing and my own personality, I never dared to express my truest feelings to anyone. I always thought whatever I said was wrong, but now, I can tell you with absolute certainty that I never liked you. No one would like someone who constantly belittles them. The way you showed your affection disgusted me. Please stop liking me from now on. Being liked by you feels like a terrible misfortune to me." With that, Alice ignored Frank's ashen expression. She turned and walked away. Frank reached out to stop her, but grasped only empty air. Finally left in desolation, "I'm very satisfied with Alice's performance." Wilson suddenly appeared out of nowhere. "Boss, isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to eavesdrop on others here?" I slapped the back of his head. "None of your business, just mind your own affairs." The barrage comments have been completely dominated by me and Alice recently, and their attitude toward Frank has long since deteriorated. Can the male lead just get lost? Seeing him is annoying. I only want to watch the plot between the female lead and the supporting female character now. Exactly. That trash man only slows down the female lead and supporting female character's progress. Seeing him is just bad luck. Wait, is this even the same female lead I knew? Where's my sweet, delicate Alice who was like a fresh flower? Who says the female lead must be delicate and soft? I think the current heroine is better, decisive, brave, with her own goals, and brimming with vibrant vitality. Indeed, we women are not delicate little flowers. We are evergreen trees. Ah, the female supporting character touched the female lead's hand and even drank from the same water bottle. Straight girls really know how to serve up the best moments. Wait, is this correct? After some time, the college entrance exam results finally came out. Alice did very well, and her scores were hidden. Before half a day had passed, she received calls from several prestigious universities. Although I didn't do as well as Alice, my results were still good. They were barely enough to get me into a mid-tier 985 university. Ultimately, Alice chose the best medical school in the capital because of her passion for medicine. I enjoy making money, so I opted for the finance department at a local 985 university. This also makes it easier for me to better inherit the James family's company after graduation. After we both finalized our respective college choices, one day I woke up and suddenly found that I could no longer see the bullet comments. I don't know why they disappeared. Perhaps the bullet comments appeared just to save Alice and me. Now that their mission is complete, they naturally vanished. The weather was beautiful on the day we sent Alice to the airport. Alice's eyes were swollen from crying, and she clung to me desperately, refusing to let go. Sis, I'll come back to see you as soon as I'm on break. You absolutely must not forget me. Even when I'm not here, you have to eat and sleep on time. Don't just make do because you're busy. That's really bad for your health. I pushed the person away in disgust, looking at the large wet stain on my chest, with a helpless expression. Finally, amid the constant boarding announcements over the airport PA system, Alice reluctantly headed toward the gate. As if remembering something, Alice immediately put down her luggage and ran back. What's wrong again? Before I could finish speaking, a gift box was shoved into my arms. Open it when you get back. After saying that, Alice quickly ran back, stood in the distance waving at me, then turned and gradually disappeared at the boarding gate. On the car, I opened Alice's gift box. Inside was actually an exquisite gold necklace. There was also a card that read, "Sis, I'll earn more money in the future and buy you lots and lots of gold." Wilson, sitting beside me, looked at my face and exclaimed in surprise, "Boss, didn't you tell us we shouldn't cry casually? Why are your eyes red now? If you don't want to die, shut up." 8 years later, today I just finished a high-level meeting, feeling a bit tired. I casually took out a cigarette, lit it, and had just taken a puff. Alice's voice came from the doorway. "Sis, I have something to talk to you about." Alice pushed the door open, and before I could toss the cigarette away, she caught me red-handed. "Sis, didn't I tell you, smoking is bad for your health? You promised me you wouldn't smoke anymore, so why are you sneaking around doing it?" I quickly threw the cigarette into the trash and raised my hand to swear that I hadn't smoked in a long time. I only planned to take a puff today because I was too tired. Alice sat angrily on the sofa, refusing to look at me. I felt like a guilty old father caught doing something wrong by his daughter. I'm already feeling a twinge of regret. I shouldn't have sent her to medical school in the first place. Now, Alice wants to have a say in everything related to health. She's turned into such a nag. The worst part is, she's always right, leaving me with no room to argue. Finally, I could only change the subject. "You mentioned earlier that there was something you wanted to tell me." At this, Alice's expression became somewhat awkward. In the end, she stammered it out. "What, you're saying you're in a relationship?" I sprang to my feet in an instant. Alice's face turned crimson. "Oh my, keep your voice down." I tried to calm myself and asked in a low voice, "Who is this person?" "He's a senior from our lab. He treats me very well, often encourages me, and gives me strength when I'm lost and don't know what to do. I feel like being with him makes me a better person." With that, Alice immediately picked up her bag and left. "Sis, take your time to think it over. I'm leaving now, and I'll bring him out to have dinner with you when I have time." Before leaving, he didn't forget to remind me, "By the way, remember not to smoke again." I wanted to chase after him, but at the door, I bumped into a broad chest. Wilson's magnetic and puzzled voice came from above. "What's wrong?" Only then did I realize that Wilson had, at some point, grown so much taller and stronger than me. I glared at him irritably. What else could it be? Alice is in a relationship. Hearing this, Wilson coughed awkwardly. "Actually, it's normal for someone her age to date." I gave him a suspicious look. "Don't tell me you've taken a liking to someone in our company too." After all, Wilson has become so outstanding now that he doesn't need to stay by my side anymore. Ever since Wilson cured his mother's illness, he has been studying diligently and was always a prominent figure at the university. After graduation, he received many job offers, yet he declined them all and joined my company directly. With his abilities, he could have become an executive long ago, but he chose to stay by my side as a mere assistant. Thinking about it this way, it does seem suspicious. Wilson's ears instantly turned red, yet he didn't deny it. I subconsciously took out a cigarette, but just as I lit it, Wilson snuffed it out. The man frowned. Anna, don't smoke. I'm annoyed. What's going on with you? You used to call me sis or boss, but now you dare to call me by my name directly. Hearing this, Wilson's ears turned even redder, with the redness threatening to spread to his face. But he couldn't help muttering under his breath, "You're not that much older than me anyway." Finally, as if mustering all his courage, he seemed about to say something to me, but just as he called my name, my phone rang. "What? There's an issue with the production line. I'm heading over now." After hanging up, I didn't wait to hear what Wilson wanted to say, quickly grabbing my things and leaving. Wilson looked at the documents on my desk and let out a bitter laugh. "Never mind. There will be other opportunities." Turned around and quickly caught up with my pace. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you.